Hello, thank you so much for joining. Today we are going to start off by doing one of my favorite subjects, which is the koi fish. I've done several of them earlier. In fact, my first commission painting was also, something that I did. I worked with koi fish as a subject, and I would be doing the butterfly koi, but not to the point, that it is very complicated. I'm going to keep it very simple. But if you know about the koi fish, very basic difference. Butterfly kois are a little bit more extravagant, I'll say, in terms of their fins, their tails. They're very beautiful. Of course, there are different types of kois, and I would stick to doing the Utsurimono Koi. That is the one that we'll be doing today. But again, keeping it very simple, I'll start off by doing the sketch, and I will try to let this video be less talking and more um, viewing, so that you can really enjoy the painting process. And please remember that this is a very loose watercolor session. It's not something very defined. And also I have to tell you that I broke my chair, so I'm standing and doing and making this video. So please bear with me, if the shapes are not 100%, but I will try to make the best of it today. So let's go ahead, and I will chip in as and when I need to speak about something. Enjoy. So the next step that I think we should be doing is start off by defining the colors that I want to use. The palette today has cobalt blue, vermilion, Prussian blue, Indian orange, and Indian yellow, and Payne's gray. And now the first step for us is going to be to wet the surface, the outer surface, not the fish, because that's where we'll start adding the color to make sure that it looks a little bit like water. And that's where I have the use of the cobalt blue and the Prussian blue, which are going to come in. So I'm going to just start dropping a little bit diluted versions of both the colors one by one. Make sure that it's spreading, and you can already see it's spreading quite a bit. And then we start adding Prussian blue to certain areas, so that it gives you a feeling of a little bit of depth in the water, and it's not completely flat. And you can see that I'm not doing 100% edges, just kind of dropping in the paint and defining a little bit of the curves, as I would probably deem right. So please feel free to make adjustments if you want to. I use this method where I pick up the paper and let the colors mix by helping them kind of flow into each other. Some of the areas are of course dry, but I'm going to just add a little bit more water in them, and we'll just let it flow as it would like to. So this is fairly dry right now, and I think I'm going to start by doing the same thing with the fish, adding water to the bodies of the fish, and then we'll start dropping colors into them. And we are going to keep it very simple, like I said. So let me just add water to the fish bodies that we've got, and then we'll start doing the colors that will blend in. Just for your reference, I'm using A4 size sheet here. It's a 300 GSM cold press paper. It's the paper that I use often for my paintings that I sell, and it's got really great absorbency, and I love the way the color flows on this paper. The texture is great. It's a heavy paper as well, so I always prefer to use this one. Watch how I start adding the colors here, and I'm not going to do I'm not going to define anything. Let's just say that I'll just drop them randomly, and it'll just start taking shape. So just observe how the colors go through. Not going to make the Indian yellow very dilute a little thick, because that'll do the trick for us. So you can see how it's going to work around the wet surface of the fish. And you can see that in certain areas the blue has actually entered the body of the fish. There's been a flow of the water into the body of the fish, so I don't want a green looking fish. And what I'm going to do is probably lift it out or blot it out using a piece of cloth later on, depending on where the blue actually starts mixing with the yellow. Like this area would probably be a space I want to be careful of, because the area is still wet on the left hand side of the tail, and I can already see a little bit of green forming. So probably I'm going to blot out this area. You can use a tissue paper, of course. I prefer using a cloth because it's more eco-friendly, like I keep saying in all my videos. Well, this one is done, and for the other koi, we're going to use the same process. Add water first, make sure it's wet, and then we'll drop in the paint. So I'm just going to speed up this one. Feel free to slow it down if you would like, but it's pretty much the same process that we did with the yellow koi. So once this is done, what I also want to do is to make a little bit of a movement in the water. We will also try to lift out some of the water in a bit, but for now, just defining a little bit of the fish itself. So what I'm doing here is adding a very dilute amount of Payne's gray to give it a shadow effect. So essentially, what I'm thinking is that the light is coming in from the top right hand side of the sheet, and it's falling on the fish from that side. So the left side is the hidden side of the fish, and that's why it's a little bit darker. The body is showing that shadow on it. And with the same color, I'm trying to give it a little bit more definition in the fins, in the tail. We will also add a line in between on top of the body to give it a sense of the top fin. I have done several koi fish where I've really ensured that the top fin is very, very detailed, and you can see that again on my Instagram, and I'll show you some of my paintings here as well. But we are not going to do that here. It's just going to make it really complicated. So let's keep it simple. We'll just add that particular line on the back of it so that it looks like a fin. So that's a very simple line that I'm doing. I'm not going to add any more details to it, but we can see that we've got the basic shape of the koi coming through now. So on the eyes, keeping it very simple, not too much of detail here, but just enough to make sure that we understand that the body of the fish is swimming away, the yellow one, and one eye is more pronounced than the other. Likewise for the orange red koi, the eye which is towards us is a little bit more defined. Uh, what I'm doing right now is trying to lift off some of the color here so that it looks like there's a swirl around the face of the koi. And obviously, this comes through much better if your color is a little darker. But since we're already using lighter colors, I'm not going to try and lift off a lot of it. Otherwise, I'll end up damaging the paper as well. So we'll just let it be very light. So that looks good. What I'm going to do is just define, like I said, some of the details now. We're going to draw the details, and we'll also do the scales, and not completely covering the body, but we'll keep it just kind of an essence of the fish, just to make sure that it's visible. And this is how I like to do the scales. I don't like to do it completely covering the um, body of the fish. I like to keep it a little simpler, not too heavy on the details. It just gives a nice look, I feel. But please feel free to work around it as you would. sorry, you can see my head coming in between in the video. Some of these places, I'm so sorry. Standing and painting can be a little bit of a task. So hopefully I'll get my chair repaired soon, or maybe get a new one. Let's see. And you will not have to see my forehead coming into the video like this. So my apologies for that. But here we are, just finishing up with some of the details. Not very heavy again, but I will also very quickly like to show you some of the other paintings that I've done, which were more basic. They were the initial paintings I had done, but it just came out beautiful, and I became a fan of the whole koi fish. And ever since, I've done quite a bit of them. I'm just adding a couple of more details here. The whiskers, as we call them, for the koi fish, very small ones, and just add those details. And yeah, here are some of the other ones that I did, different colors. You can make them, you can do a lot of research. I've done that.